I put these rascals together, I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm comparing these two. The main reason I'm dealing with these smaller units is because I know that my turbines will turn it. My turbines don't go that fast, but they don't take a whole lot of wind to make them go. So that's where I'm trying to get the most juice out of a PMA or PMG that I'm using. I'd really like to try one of the Freedom II, which is double what this is. It has two outputs, but I'm not sure that it would turn it, so I'm not going to invest the money in that at this point unless suddenly I have some extra money. I wanted to talk about, I talked about the shape of my turbines, how it's hollow on the bottom. Hollow on the bottom. Hollow on the bottom. And don't do that. Okay, it's hollow on the bottom so that the alternator or generator can go up inside there, and that shortens the length of that the shaft has to be. But it does put a lot of pressure on the bearings. And one thing about the WindBlue, this is an alternator. Alternator body, the bearings are alternator. And the alternators are designed where you have a pulley in the front and you've got either a V belt or a flat belt that constantly keeps pressure on it. And these bearings, these front bearings are tough. They're just, they'll last for years and years and years, especially if you're doing like a wind turbine, because you're not putting nearly as much pressure on it as a belt does. And the type of bearing that's in the front of that, it looks like this. And there's a little retainer plate that holds that. You can see that right here. You got the three screws, and just about all alternators are built this way. The different sizes. Like for example, this is an alternator body that a friend of mine gave me. He has a wrecking yard. I had parts from my original WindBlue. I changed the stator core, and I changed the rotor out because this is not a stainless steel shaft. This is regular steel, and I wanted the stainless steel because of their interaction with the bearing. It's a hardened steel bearing, and the hardened steel races, and this bearing holds going this way and it holds going this way. It just holds the shaft any which way you go with it. It's beautiful. But with the steel shaft and this heavy monster magnet, and just imagine if I can get that on there, it makes the bearings roll against the magnetic surface, which slows it down. So this, like I said before, going with the stainless steel shaft on both of these is a great idea. Another thing, I guess there's some people that don't realize how they do that. This is the stock rotor that comes out of something like this, and what WindBlue does is they take out the copper and then they add a rare earth magnet to the middle of it, and one side is positive, one side's a negative, so you have a negative and a positive and negative positive and negative positive as it goes around, which works pretty good. You know, I don't have anything against that. Another thing, well, let me talk about this for a second. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about the Freedom PMG is a different type of rotor, and these magnets are, I mean, you can see how, or I can see, I don't know whether you can or not, it's a red mark, red mark, red mark, so they make sure these are switched, where you have a positive, negative, positive, negative, just like it is on this one. I'm not sure which one has more strength. This one probably does. And they also have a skewed stator, which eliminates a lot of the cogging. I mean, like I said, it still has some cogging to it, but a lot of it's gone, so it doesn't take that much effort to turn the thing. Go back to the bearing. On the housing on the alternators, while it has a really powerful, really strong bearing in the front, it has needle bearings in the back. I don't know if you can see that or not. Those are just needle bearings, and this is great for keeping the shaft from going this way. It keeps it centered, but it has no control over whether the shaft goes back and forth. That is entirely on this front bearing. So the bearings on this are functional, but I've noticed also on the Freedom, see this little retainer right here? I don't know, can you see that? So this retainer right here is the same as this right here, so you know they're using the same type of bearing in the Freedom PMG, the same type of bearing right here. And since I believe they have one cast that does both the front and back, so on the back it has one of these here too, and that's outstanding. You got all kinds of strength right here. It's not just a set of needle bearings. It's not just a set of needle bearings in there. That is one of these. So you got one of these in back, you got one of these in front, and that shaft is not going anywhere over years and years and years of abuse. I mean, that's fantastic. I like that a lot. So the Freedom has a lot of good points over the WindBlue. Now, the WindBlue is what they call low end. They have three different ones. They have one that runs with pulley. It may be motor or hydro driven. One that's a higher wind and one that's low wind. So the low wind makes higher voltage, but it kind of robs it from the amperage. So it's lower amps but higher voltage per turn. So I was assuming that the Freedom PMG would be similar to that, because this is a 48 volt. They don't say high wind or low wind, they say 48 volt, 12 volt, 24 volt. I suppose it's time to put it all together and see what happens. I first started tinkering with this turbine idea, I was shooting for the ability to run a 24-volt grid-tied system with battery backup. And that's still what I hope to end up with. All of my earlier attempts were based on using the WindBlue PMA, but it just wasn't producing what I needed. All of the tests that I recorded so far have been generating without a load. And when I put a load on it, I usually see production cut in half. This is a serious problem when I need a 10-mile-an-hour wind just to make 5 volts, which is the case with the WindBlue PMA. If I cut that in half under load, I might as well hang it up and forget about it. This is why I felt compelled to give the Freedom PMG a shot, and I'm certainly glad I did. Aside from the sloppy threads I talked about in part 1 of this 2-part comparison, I have been nothing less than impressed with the results. By my guesstimation, if I run 8 of these Freedom PMGs on my roof, I could expect to catch enough wind-powered energy to charge a 24-volt system on any day with a light breeze. On the other hand, I may need to be creative with dump loads for those windiest days. And in the future, for those dead calm sunny days, I'm considering a plan to build each turbine base to accommodate a 300-watt solar panel. As for the turbines themselves, I'm still developing the product and working out the bugs. The time involved in building and the materials needed for each are costly, but I feel it's worth the effort. Also, with each tool or machine I buy, it speeds up the process considerably. I have these 2 ready to go, and one that needs sandblasting and repainting, and one that is cut and stacked neatly in pieces until needed. So that leaves 4 to acquire materials for and get started with. And I have 1 good PMG with 7 more to purchase, which leads me to the question I have for Jeff of Missouri Wind and Solar. Dude, if I buy more than 1 of these at a time, can I get a discount? Who knows, this could inspire some of my neighbors with flat roofs to do something similar. And if they should ask, I'll be happy to recommend where they should look for a PMG that can do the job.
Could have a little neighborhood wind farm.